Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Really nice to have you along this morning. I actually have my wits about me a little bit this morning. Yesterday, I was rushing to make sure the camera was on. I'm like, I'm up. All right, here we go.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Maybe I spoke a little too soon. Maybe I don't have my wits about me today. We'll see.
I don't believe in the Melvin scenario.
All right. Good morning, my friends. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Thursday, May 8th? May 8th today. It's great to have you along. There's going to be an Oval Office news conference today, big trade deal involving the U.S. The president announced this on True Social. He's trying to keep it secret. Word has already gotten out. So, big news conference this morning, 10 a.m. He said the Oval Office concerning a major trade deal with representatives of a big and highly respected country, the first of many, he says. It's Great Britain. It's Britain. According to reports, I think it was the New York Times who was out with that first. So, we don't have details yet. The White House is not responding, not confirming that, but reportedly that's who it is. So I'm trying to see where that it's Britain. I think maybe it was the New York Times that released that. This story is not incredibly clear, other than that's who it is anticipated. So we'll find out more details coming up a little this morning. And you wonder then if this will be the first announcement that it's really will lead to others, that this one will break the dam. And now that you have Great Britain, coming to an agreement with the United States, then you start to wonder if you'll start seeing these other announcements being made as well. The talks have been ongoing with the presidency, where they were talking to like 250 different countries regarding this. So, the talks are ongoing between the United States and other countries. So an announcement on that coming up today. That'll be a big story, I think, as the day wears on. So we'll learn more officially then a little bit later this morning. Also, because that'll be at 9 a.m., just as I'm going off the air this morning, that will be announced. Maybe during the fourth hour, we'll wait and see. If the White House is announcing that, if there is a video to share, maybe we'll do that coming up later this morning on the fourth hour, which is, the after show that we do on both YouTube and Facebook each morning. So, also, the president saying late yesterday afternoon, we're making great progress on the one big, beautiful bill. Our economy is doing well, but it's going to boom in a way never seen before. We're going to do no tax on tips, no tax on senior Social Security, no tax on overtime, and much more. It will be the biggest tax cut for middle and working class Americans by far, and it's time for Main Street to win. I love this because we're always talking about Main Street, right? The view on Main Street. It's time for Main Street to win. Make America great again. So there was a very interesting story yesterday. You may have seen it, Breitbart, with Senator John Thune. John Thune sat down with Breitbart News last week, and this is a story that they released yesterday. This was a long-form, on-camera interview with Senator Thune, And he talked about what's going on in the president's tax relief plan. And he talked about a number of things. And Senator Thune said, taking a look at Trump and the work that the president has done on the border, he said, I think you have to, what he's had so far, it's hard to characterize it as anything but just a staggering success. He said, you look at where they were under Biden a year ago. He's talking about numbers now. So you look at those numbers and where they were under Biden a year ago. You're talking about 10,000 or 11,000 a day. And now we're down to 200 a day. It is almost mind-blowing in terms of how much difference the leadership of President and the White House has made over Biden's open borders policy. But he's going to need to continue that and needs the resources for the Border Patrol agents. He's going to need money for the wall. He's going to need money for detention beds. All of those things needed to continue to secure the border. But you can see what a difference leadership makes in the short amount of time he's had to work on it. It does. I mean, I think Senator Thune is spot on with this. He's absolutely correct. Thune also said that Senate Republicans want to be partners with the president on securing the border even more. He says he wants to make sure that the president has the resources that he needs. Thune promised a generational investment in border security is coming in Trump's plan, and that's what Congress is working on. He said, we're going to be partners with him. In the reconciliation bill we're working on, we have a generational investment in border security that the president will be able to use as a tool to continue to get that job done, Thune said. He also went after Senate Democrats for unanimously voting against the president's emergency declaration on energy production. And he said, it's another example of how hostage the Democrats are being held to their far left agenda. Voting against an energy emergency in this country, when we clearly have an energy emergency, you look at, just as an example, electricity. You have artificial intelligence, you got data centers, you got crypto mines. All of these things are incredibly power intensive. And then, of course, the Democrats wanted to have everybody already driving electric vehicles. We don't have enough energy in this country. Oil and gas, I would say any American form of energy. There's more of a conversation around nuclear again. Obviously, there are renewable energy sources, but we ought to be for all things that are American energy, he said. He went on. I mean, this was a very, very long interview that Senator Thune did with Breitbart. And you can find that on their website this morning, Breitbart.com. And it's an exclusive interview that Thune did with Breitbart. So that was interesting, that there have, since, we've talked about Senator Thune before, and I think especially since becoming majority leader, you see him now more and more, as the man he is, rather than Mitch McConnell's, one of Mitch McConnell's lieutenants, right? You see him much more now as the person that he is. And I think, in addition to the president, he's showing incredible leadership. The guy is tough. I think the guy is tough. And he's not afraid to speak very plainly, very candidly. Also, other stories this morning, we have no pope chosen yet. Black smoke rising from the Sistine Chapel, which means they have not selected a pope yet. And in the modern day history of the Catholic Church, they have never never chose. It's been quite a number of years since a pope has been chosen on the first vote. So it has not happened in modern history. So I don't think you'll find that as much of a surprise, because it's going to take a little bit of time. But likely here in the next few days, we'll see the selection of the Catholic Church's next leader, the Pope. Also, despite the president trying to urge the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, now they decided to leave interest rates unchanged. I think, and you wonder, are they doing that just to poke the president? I can't, because he's been very outspoken that that he thinks they ought to reduce interest rates. No, they're leaving them unchanged, and saying that they're seeing the economy is solid. So, okay, they're seeing the economy is solid. Can somebody tell the media that, which has been running around with their hair on fire, telling us how bad things are? And all right, also, and you heard Joe Bowman talking about this earlier regarding the conversation in Lake County regarding pipelines. Have a number of landowners in Lake County pushing for a pipeline ordinance similar to other counties in the state, and it's been a little bit bumpy. There are a number of local stories talking about this. Dakota News Now had a story that they did. A couple of Lake County landowners who have had concerns about the lack of a pipeline ordinance. They've created a group called Lake County Citizens for Agriculture, Recreation, Environment, and Stewardship, CARES, which is clever. They proposed a pipeline ordinance similar to the one that 8 other counties have. We're talking about other South Dakota counties. And there's some back and forth. Again, this Lake County CARES group has been concerned. They're saying they feel that some of the discussions taking place at county commission meetings are very one-sided. So some are believing that this is a pretty detailed story at dakotanewsnow.com talking about this. Things they report came to a head at a recent commission meeting. You had advocates for a new pipeline ordinance were there, and they wanted to talk about it. And then statements were being read. The petition was found improper for the intended purpose, and so there was back and forth regarding that. And these folks, and I understand this is what happens. We've seen this happen in other counties as well. I mean, these are really sensitive issues. And I've got to tell you, I can't honestly say that I would be wishing to serve on a county commission that's wrestling with any one of these issues. I think when it comes to land ownership and private property rights, I feel incredibly strongly about these things, as a lot of citizens in our state do, which is why I think it can become difficult. And so you had a few of them who were alleging that the Lake County State's attorney, they're saying, refusing to answer emails, phone calls, going to her office, or his office rather, last week, and saying, he refused to have a conversation with them. And one who said, It's just another day in Lake County where there's no transparency, no public discussion, no public votes. They're doing so much to silence the people. There was such a concerted effort to make sure that they had prepared statements to throw up a roadblock in front of us. I just really question, who are they really representing? Youch. Understand their frustration. That's a big story this morning. Also, Senator Ted Cruz has been going after National Public Radio. And this is, you had others. Democrat Senator Maria Cantwell made remarks against the president's executive order then to cease federal funding for NPR, PBS. So Senator Cruz is out there with the rest of the story, and he's going after them. He said that NPR is required under the Communications Act to adhere to objectivity and balance in all. I know you're laughing already. In all programs or series of programs on a controversial nature. Unfortunately, NPR does not. Last Congress, I put out a detailed report how NPR took millions in earmarked donations from left-wing mega donors for very specific coverage. After receiving those donations, NPR churned out content precisely mirroring its donors' agendas. And then he said, likewise, the independent television service paid for documentaries like Racist Trees to appear on PBS, and he just goes on. He referenced Yuri Berliner, who was the former NPR editor. You may resign this. This was last year. Last April, Berliner resigned after being suspended without pay. He published an essay calling out the left-wing bias at NPR. And Cruz is just hammering this. I like Senator Cruz. I really do. And he went on. He says NPR continues to have a dedicated news desk for climate and for race, both of which are propped up by liberal mega donors. And he went on. He's been talking about this on his podcast, which is called Verdict with Ted Cruz. And really bagging on them. He gave multiple examples of NPR's leftist journalism. He said, this is back in 2019, they issued an apology for calling illegal immigrants illegal. And they posted, sorry, that was a mistake. NPR policy is not to characterize people as illegal. By the way, in federal law, an illegal alien is referred to as an illegal alien. And you wonder why I'm not, sympathetic to the plight of NPR and their federal funding. Also, New York Post has this story this morning about this neo-Nazi 764 cult. And it's a sextortion ring. Given the number of stories that I was seeing regarding this morning, I think you're going to be hearing a lot more about it. It's a neo-Nazi sextortion ring, targets kids as young as 9, and then blackmails them into making photos and videos, and it's just disgusting kind of stuff. Really, really troubling. Children being groomed. So the FBI has hundreds of open cases against this group known as 764. So it's a cult-like network with ties to neo-Nazis, Satanism, And you can get more details on that story at the New York Post this morning. Also, we had more arrests after pro-Palestinian protesters occupying the Butler Library on the Columbia University campus yesterday. And it's the same thing that we have seen in other left-wing protests. And then among other big stories this morning, you had Knicks fans at TD Garden and a lot of game two then, which the New York Post is saying an unbelievable game two rally to beat the Celtics again. So the vibes are high for the Knicks fans as this is going on. The Knicks pulling off a dramatic comeback game two, 91-90 win over the Celtics last night. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks for starting your day with us. 627, fair skies, 46. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weekdays at 2, Callow, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Carroll Hotline is sponsored by Tires, with 2 locations to make sure you have the proper traction this winter.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson Picture and Combination Windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and light in a bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today.
Let's ABC Seamless.
At BMW Motorcycles of Sioux Falls, the BMW F900 GS and the all-new R1300 GS aren't just bikes. They're built for curiosity, for grit, for adventure. This is the spirit of BMW GS. Make life a ride at Variety Powerhouse.
Can you spot a stroke? Treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability or save a life. If you notice someone experiencing loss of balance, blurry vision, sudden weakness on one side, or having a problem speaking, call 911 fast. And rely on Avera's stroke services at the Avera Brain and Spine Institute for innovative care. Learn more at avera.org/stroke.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and
oh man, I just can't kick my brain into high gear this morning.
Life insurance. Up to $2
Some
million
days are like
coverage
that.
with no medical exam. Some policies as low as
I slept really well last night. Usually it's when I'm tired, you know. And I also have a little bit of more. I get a little more feisty when I'm tired.
Gas, groceries.
Maybe that's better.
Your wireless bill. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying,
Maybe I need to come in here short on sleep rather than a good night's sleep.
Nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Mostly sunny and dry weather. Our high today at 80 degrees with an east wind at 5 to 10. For tonight, low temperature 51, mainly clear. And then tomorrow's high bounces back to 88 in the afternoon. Southwest wind at 5 to 10. Temperatures upper 80 Saturday, close to 90 on Mother.
And in Sioux Falls, it's 6:30. Fair skies, 46 at Kello. Fox News Radio coming up. Then we'll check in with Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. Manhunt for Cody Dittman is over. Joe will have details. Also, a car was flipped onto its roof after colliding with a tractor yesterday morning. And Lake County landowners are looking for an ordinance. Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up here on Kello.
Fox News
news. I'm Lillian Wu. Black smoke pours from a Vatican chimney, meaning no pope is elected after 2 votes today, 1 last night. Emma from Texas is there waiting for white smoke, indicating a decision is made.
I was born and raised Catholic, so this is like a huge event for me. We keep calling it the Catholic Super Bowl, and I was here for Easter Mass, so it's just like incredible to see like all this history like right in front of our faces.
2 more votes expected today. President Trump expected to announce a new trade deal with the UK this morning. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the central bank is leaving interest rates unchanged for now.
The risks of higher unemployment and higher inflation appear to have risen, and we believe that the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments.
He says there's a great deal of uncertainty surrounding Trump's tariffs. America's listening to Fox News.
Weather brought to you by Infinity Sedation Dentistry, Sioux Falls. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. The manhunt for Cody Dittman is over. He was arrested last night. Oglala Sioux Tribe Police announced on social media that 35-year-old Dittman had been apprehended. He was wanted on felony charges in 2 states. Dittman is accused of strangling a pregnant woman in Nebraska and a day later causing an officer-involved shooting last Friday in Fall River County, South Dakota. He'd been on the run from authorities since. Dittman's arrest was the result of coordinated efforts between Oglala Sioux Tribe Police, state troopers, and federal agents. A car was flipped onto its roof after colliding with a tractor yesterday morning. The crash happened at an intersection in a rural area northwest of Watertown. The driver of the car got out on their own and was treated for minor injuries at the scene. The tractor driver was okay. No word yet on the cause of the collision. Lake County landowners who want an ordinance to control the location of carbon capture pipelines are struggling to get a public vote. They presented petitions calling for a vote on the ordinance 2 weeks ago, but the county commission rejected them, calling them invalid. For landowners like Laura Zwart, it's a pattern county officials have followed for 3 years.
So we don't know if we should try to go a different petition route. I don't think so, because I don't believe they would honor them either way.
The landowners are figuring out their next move. And warm summer temps have arrived early this year, and so has lawn watering season. Darren Freese of Sioux Falls Public Works is reminding residents there are standard procedures you need to follow.
Easy way for you to remember our stage 1 schedule is simply odd, even, and noon to 5. This means property owners with odd numbered addresses will water only on odd calendar dates, and property owners with even numbered addresses will water only on even calendar dates.
Freese says watering is prohibited between the hours of noon and 5 because most of the water applied at that time of day is lost to evaporation. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Very warm forecast. Our high this afternoon in the Sioux Falls area, close to 80 degrees. Mostly sunny skies, winds at 5 to 10. Clear skies tonight, low 51. Tomorrow, much warmer, high of 88 in the afternoon. And we'll also be in the upper 80s on Saturday, close to 90 on Mother's Day. From the Storm Center at Kibble-Land TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Our business is news, and business is good. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9, and Kello.com.
Would you trade a scan of your eyeball for free cryptocurrency? I'm Kim Commando for SimplySafe. At simplysafekim.com, save 50% on a new system with professional monitoring. There's no safe like SimplySafe. Sam Altman, the inventor of ChatGPT, unveiled a new project he calls WorldCoin. Without sounding too Orwellian, too frightening, or too much like a new Netflix series, let me tell you how it works. You stare into a glowing ball. They call it the WorldCoin orb, and the orb scans your iris. I'm not making this up, really. Your iris is unique in all the world, and the WorldCoin orb verifies that you're a human being to generate your world ID. You'll have a global world ID generated by Sam Altman, the billionaire, and for your time and trouble, you get paid $15 in crypto. They say your world ID will be used to log into websites, verify accounts, and maybe even vote. I'm keeping my eyes shut. And keep your eyes open with my newsletter. Sign up at getkim.com. Nothing matters more than the safety of your family and home. That's why millions of Americans trust SimplySafe Home Security. With just one press of a button, you're not just locking up, you're locking out trouble, protecting your home and family 24/7. SimplySafe is the new standard in security. with new groundbreaking innovations, Active Guard outdoor protection, live monitoring agents using AI-powered cameras spot and engage suspicious individuals before they reach your windows and doors. Security that just doesn't react to threats. This is security that's actively working to stop them. Monitoring plans start at around $1 a day. No contracts, no hidden fees, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Visit simplysafekim.com and claim 50% off a new system with a professional monitoring plan for your home. You'll even get your first month free. simplysafekim.com. Save 50% now. That's simplysafekim.com. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires, making your vehicle ride like new. 2 Sioux Falls Tire and Automotive Centers. Visit tires3.com.
Farmers and ranchers, you work hard every day. The South Dakota Farm Bureau would like to say thank you for everything you do. During the busy spring season, Farm Bureau reminds you to practice safety first. Follow the label. Whether you're working with pesticides, vaccinations, or fertilizers, handle and store materials appropriately and wear the proper personal protective equipment. Farmers and ranchers, keep doing the great work that you do. And remember, farm safety is your best investment.
Lenny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251.
Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Westwood Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-791-1313. That's 800-791-1313.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
COVID-19 has cast a spotlight on the stark inequalities that drive poverty. The poorest communities in the U.S. and around the world are suffering the most. Oxfam believes we can put systems in place to protect health and livelihoods in the future if we work together with dignity and compassion. Learn how you can help offer safety to the most vulnerable and fight for a more resilient future at oxfamamerica.org. Sponsored by Oxfam America.
At 49th Street Liquor, they are ready to help you grill, chill, and refill. They're at the corner of 49th Street and Minnesota Avenue. And this month at 49th Street Liquor, buy 2 of the same bottle of wine, get 10% off. They've got a number of pre-mixed alcoholic drinks, the ready-to drinks. You buy 2 of the same, you get 10% off. Dakota Butcher products are all 10% off this month. They are absolutely ready for your grill, and they're delicious, I might say. And you'll find even more. I mean, that's just barely skimming the surface. They've got all your favorite beer, wine, and spirits, and they're really happy to help you find whatever you'd like. They've got a good selection of local beers. You'll find that those in their huge walk-in beer cave. Just a lot to discover. Your happy hour starts at the new 49th Street Liquor at 49th in Minnesota. Cheers to good times and great drinks.
Working hard at the gym, but want to know what's going on in Sioux Falls? Staying up to date with Kello is no sweat with a free Kello app on your smartphone. For the information you need, your radio is only the beginning. Stimulating talk and news when it happens. Kello News Talk 1320.
20 minutes before 7. Sunshine 44 currently at Kellogg. Good morning and welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. 4 great bands, all for one powerful cause. It's a memorial benefit dance for Janine Gross. She passed away after her fight with cancer, and her husband, John, is a longtime listener of ours, and he's raising funds to help with medical bills. So coming up then this Saturday night, the Men in Black, Vinyl 5, the Dakota Opry Band will perform, among others. That's this Saturday night, 7 to 10 at Active Generations on West 46th Street, right here in Sioux Falls.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. Music.
Well, it was black smoke after day one of the conclave, meaning no pope has been chosen yet, which is not much of a surprise, I think. So black smoke as the cardinals are convened then to choose the next pope of the Catholic Church. Also, the Federal Reserve's interest rate is holding steady, despite the president calling on the chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell. What was the president calling him? Too late. Powell said during a news conference yesterday, the labor market is sold, inflation is low, we can afford to be patient as things unfold. There was no real cost to our waiting at this point, he said. And then he said there's still some uncertainty out there about tariff policies. And he said, we don't know where those are going to settle and so on. So that story's trending this morning. Federal law enforcement officials, and this is chilling stuff, they arrested over 200 alleged child sex predators in just 5 days. This was announced yesterday by Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel. They announced this at a news conference yesterday. This was a huge collaboration between DOJ, 55 FBI field offices, led to the arrests of over 200 perpetrators who hurt, Pam Bondi says, a total of 115 child victims. She said these depraved human beings, if convicted, will face the maximum penalty in prison. If you are online targeting a child, you will not escape us. The FBI and DOJ will come after you, and we will prosecute you. Pretty chilling stuff. Senator John Fetterman has been in the news. He is from Pennsylvania. He is the Democrat. Sometimes it seems like the lone Democrat the lone Democrat who can be reasonable at times. And so Fetterman, there was a report out at New York Magazine. If you're not familiar with New York Magazine is a far, far left publication. All right. They are extremely far left, New York Magazine. And they did a hit piece on Fetterman. Now, I've got to tell you, I feel he's a kindred spirit. I feel that. As a stroke survivor myself, I get that. And one of the things, I'll give you my perspective as somebody who's undergone a stroke. It's been a few years. Immediately following my stroke, I'm not the same man today that I was immediately following my stroke. I think if you're a regular listener of the show, you know that. I was having trouble. I would omit words. I probably still do that. Don't realize it. But I was omitting words, and God bless my wife, who really pulled me through that. She was just as constant as the Northern Star for me during that period of time. Just can't tell you. And I've told her this recently. You know, I said, I don't think I ever thanked you enough for all you did for me and how meaningful that was to me. So you get away from your stroke and you start finding, you know, you get your legs back, and well, that's John Fetterman. Same thing. I think, you know, initially following a stroke, he was having difficulty. Totally understand that, especially having lived it. Totally understand that. But as you watch Senator John Fetterman now, you don't see any evidence of stroke, right? So you get New York Magazine writing a hit piece on Fetterman, a so-called journalist. They're hacks, man. They are hacks. And he said, many of the staffers I spoke with are angry. They're troubled. They're sad. They were some of Fetterman's truest believers, and they now question his fitness to be a senator. Fetterman, is he making more sense to you now than he ever has before? That guy is making more and more sense. And he and I don't agree on a host of different things, but he is making more and more sense. I think he has found his legs again. And so he is dismissing that as a total hit piece. And you got the legacy media right there then to act. You know, this is what happens. You get these far left publications who publish this stuff, and the legacy media is right there to report on it. And so you got NBC breathless, you know, can't wait to talk to John Fetterman about this. And Senator Fetterman, God love him, said it's a one-source story with a couple of anonymous sources, a hit piece from a very left publication. So don't just take my word from it that this is a left-wing publication. That's what Fetterman is saying. And it's just absolutely incredible. So this was a piece from The Hill. The New York Magazine did not immediately respond to a request for comment. No, I'm sure they didn't. I'm sure they did not. Speaking of interviews, former President Joe Biden giving his first interview since he left office, speaking to the BBC. And there's been a lot that's been made about this. I thought Joe Biden really had an opportunity here to just fade into the, you know, and he's out there and he's talking about, you know, the Oval Office meeting that Trump had with Zelensky, and it was beneath America and all of this. He criticized Trump for his executive order renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And Biden says, what the hell is going on here? That's not much of a shock. I think he's probably been asking, what the hell is going on here? So here he is out there, and it's the same nonsense that lost Democrats the election. And there's been a lot of attention on this in the media, not a lot of attention on it here, because he's irrelevant. He is absolutely irrelevant. He's proving to us again that he's still irrelevant. I didn't expect that to change, but it's just absolutely incredible. Let's see what other more meaningful things are going on. The president has named Andrew Giuliani to the FIFA World Cup Task Force. Andrew Giuliani is the son former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. So he was appointed the executive director of the White House Task Force for the 2026 FIFA World Cup earlier this week. And there was a big meeting at the White House as they were talking about this, announcing this. And the president said of Andrew, he said, I've known him for a long time. He's a highly competitive golfer, really good. You know, that's saying, when Trump says that, that's saying something. He says he's also a highly competitive person, and he loves what we're doing. Want to congratulate you and your family and your father, your great father, who's the greatest mayor in the history of New York, Trump said. And then he said, it's a big post. You better do well, Andrew. Also, the president announcing, he plans to announce while on his trip to Saudi Arabia next week that the United States will now refer to the Persian Gulf as the Arabian Gulf or the Gulf of Arabia. So Arab nations have pushed for a change to the name, and the president is will announce this again next week. So the Persian Gulf will be the Arabian Gulf or the Gulf of Arabia, and Iran is having a meltdown over that news. What else is new, you might ask? Also, what's going on at Disney? Disney has announced a new Abu Dhabi theme park. So a new Disney theme park coming to Abu Dhabi. They announced this early, they announced it yesterday, that they had reached an agreement with a company that will bring a park and resort to an island in the United Arab Emirates. So is Disney totally out of it, man? Have they totally lost any grip on reality? You've got the president out there talking about busting his butt to bring countries back into the United States to, and even here just recently this week, he was talking about the movie business and getting, movies made in America again, and this relentless focus on America. So what do the dunderheads at Disney do? The opposite, the absolute opposite. They are lost. They are lost. I will, I watched that yesterday, and as I do, unfortunately, so many times, I sit in disbelief, and I'm like, what passes for brains at Disney? And then I think, not like I'm a big Disney consumer. I'm 61. I'm not a big Disney consumer. I really regretted the day they got a hold of Star Wars. I'm like, oh, really, Disney? I'm just done. I just made a decision. I'm done. I am done with their nonsense. It's just absolutely incredible. I mentioned this to you in the last segment, that the FBI sounding the alarm on a dangerous 764 online network that's targeting children. And the FBI says they are increasingly concerned. They're calling it a loose network of violent predators who befriend teenagers through popular, social media platforms, and then coerce them into sexual and violent behavior. And they begin lightly, and then it increases as they go. They push victims to create graphic pornography, encourage them to harm family pets, cut themselves, all manner of things. And I suspect that that is something that is going to be in the news. Again, it's trending this morning. That's the first that I had seen of it earlier this morning. And just given what's happening, I suspect we're going to see a lot more of it, unfortunately. Also, a jury in the Tyree Nichols state case returned a not guilty verdict on all counts for 3 of the former Memphis police officers that were charged in his death. So these are 3 former Memphis officers. They face state charges, including second-degree murder, aggravated assault, and the officers were found not guilty. A couple of bankruptcies to tell you about. Rite Aid has now filed for its second bankruptcy. Comes less than a year after they closed out its first. So Rite Aid now officially filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy this week. Also, Weight Watchers has filed for bankruptcy. They said in a news release Tuesday that they are reorganizing and they're trying to eliminate $1.15 billion with a B, $billion in debt. So they will reposition themselves for long-term growth and success. You're $1 billion in debt. I don't know. Is it unfair to say maybe they should have done that a little bit more quickly? And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. 6:57. Sunshine and 44 currently at Kello. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Matters to you, you'll hear it on Kello. All day, every day. Kello News Talk 1320.
Well, thank you, my friend, for being here. Please come back at 9:30 for the 4th hour. Hope to see you then. Otherwise, please have a great day.
Stunning live vocals, live band,